Hi there. Welcome to the Imperfect Prophet podcast for women who wonder. Frankly, as we go through life, I'm sure we wonder about a great deal. First as little kids, then as adolescents, then as young women, then as transitional women. What are we calling ourselves these days? And then you get to this point in life, or my point in life, when you're postmenopausal and wondering what's next. Wondering if the parade already passed you by. Join me, Wonder Wendy. I'm going to be your host as we talk about some of these unique challenges that face women today in a new millennium, going through menopause and trying to live a rich, full life. There might even be a few men and younger women that want to listen in too. That's okay. But there's a roller coaster and we're all on it. And I'm going to be your guide to help you figure out when you should close your eyes, when you should hang on, and maybe we'll explore some ideas for what works for you if it doesn't work for me, or vice versa. So join the conversation, pick up your favorite beverage, and we'll talk to you soon. Welcome to the Imperfect Prophet.
As you can see, I am once again traveling in a hotel room, but I'll be home again before you hear this episode. And I want to share a story of travel. Somewhere in the recesses of my mind, I hear the old refrain, you know the one, about how the sun always shines in California. And yet last week, I was in Los Angeles, and despite the fantasy of palm trees swaying and picture-perfect formation, that was not my experience. Last weekend, it rained, it poured, it was cold, and your girl, she did not think to pack rain boots. I guess living in Arizona has made me forget how to prepare for unrelenting rain, like mudslide-causing rain, which I guess isn't that hard to have happen in California, but it still happens. Anyway, so let's talk about why soggy socks, a bad mood, and a rain-soaked arrival became the gateway to one of the most magical Technicolor moments of my life. And the lessons I learned might just be the ones you could use in your life, too. Welcome to another episode of The Imperfect Prophet with me, your host, Wonder Wendy. Now, like I said, there's even a song about it. You know, never rains in Southern California. Don't you remember that one? I think it was big back in the 70s. Well, that refrain was just looping in my brain as I packed my bags. You know, I'm looking for those palm trees, sunshine, perfect hair blowing in the wind, or a gentle breeze. Anyway, not a ray of sunshine touched my face the entire weekend. My sunglasses never came out of my bag. And you know me, well, those of you that do know that I wear sunglasses even on overcast days. Oh, honestly, I was already in a terrible mood from before the raindrops even hit the windshield. It was a long drive. I was exhausted. And when I'm tired, my inner curmudgeon Wendy shows up. She tries not to be mean. She's just done. The quiet shutdown, the emotional slump, the please, no one talk to me until I've had a moment to breathe version of me, dancing on a razor's edge, ready to lose my mind. So when we finally pulled into LA, hours after being crammed into a Sprinter van with a bunch of models half my age, the sky looked more like Vermont in November than California. And I thought, really? This for this weekend? No exploring, no wandering, no soaking up LA vibes. Just rain, pothole splashes, and a schedule packed with fittings and rehearsals. Not fun, just work. Now, some of you might remember that episode from a few months back, the one where I talked about yard sticking, about casting calls, about measuring yourself against everyone else. Well, this LA trip was the result of that moment. Because I did get cast in the fashion show. I got cast into a real LA fashion show, and I was walking for a young, emerging designer with a vision and creativity. Ugh, and his dreams are bigger than his studio apartment. I should have been elated. But when you're tired, even good news can feel heavy. And I was carrying that heaviness like a sledgehammer. No, like a cement brick. That's it. A cement brick hitched to my foot, dragging it along. No fun, no glamour, no sparkle. So there we were. Day one, rehearsal. Stand, walk, stand again, walk again. But it's not just walking. It's walking in heels with your shoulders back, stomach in, stretching your legs forward in a not very natural way that looks great on the runway. It's physically exhausting. And your hair is pulled back, your makeup free, and everyone's a little bit stressed because we're all wanting to make the grade. And given the weather, we were all just a little bit damp and chilled after darting our way to the show. I know my shoes didn't feel quite right because my feet still were kind of wet and clammy. Ugh. I remember thinking, this is not magical. This is work. And yet, even fairy tales don't look like magic when you're in the beginning of them. Remember Cinderella? She scrubbed floors. Snow White? She almost got assassinated and then had to flee for her life into the woods. She was a princess who'd been raised in a castle. What did she know about surviving in the woods? Dorothy, her dog was almost assassinated, and she had to run away to protect him, and then she got caught up in a storm. Whew. Over and over again, we hear these stories. And every single time, the magic only reveals itself when you turn the page. How often have you forgotten to turn the page? Well, back to LA. Day 2 arrived. It's show day. And it still hadn't stopped raining. We still hadn't seen the sun. LA looked more like Seattle. But inside the venue, something shifted. I was laced into the dress. The one my designer chose specifically for me. The one that made people backstage go, whoa. The one that made me straighten my spine and think, ooh, this is something special. It was elegant, timeless, but modern in an interesting sort of way. It flattered my curves in that way where you don't feel self-conscious, you feel seen. The kind of dress that tells a story about the woman wearing it. Then came the hair, magicians from Paul Mitchell doing things with my hair that I can never recreate at home. And then the makeup team, a smoky eye, a smoky eye that truly hinted at the fire within. Oh, it was amazing. The transformation was a complete vision. It was like watching a sepia-toned photograph bloom into full color. Just like Dorothy stepping out of her storm-tossed house and realizing the world she landed in wasn't the same one she left. Suddenly, that exhaustion just kind of slipped away. The mood lifted. Even the rain splattering against the windows didn't matter because something was happening. Something was actually shifting in me. I felt my posture adjust as the dress and I seemed to dance together, creating a moment. It was all reminding me, you are allowed to have magical moments, even on your worst days. Now, backstage before a fashion show is controlled chaos. Sometimes it doesn't look so very controlled because there's so many people with so many little things going on. Pins are flying, streamers are hissing, people are half-dressed, designers are pacing. My designer had a sewing machine as he was putting on the finishing touches. Someone is always running, always. And the smell of hairspray is a tad overwhelming. But my designer, bless his beautiful heart, his brilliant, anxious heart, was a wreck. Every few seconds, he adjusted something as he chased a vision that lived in his fevered dream. He kept worrying. He kept checking in, kept grinning from ear to ear as he leaned into the spirit of the dress he put me in. And then we stood on the stairs. It was almost time to take the stage. The music changed. Stardust memories. Da 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 ba da da da. And that moment, that sacred runway moment, arrived. I stepped into the entry, and the runway almost seemed to glow beneath my feet. I swept my arms in a grand balletic gesture. The audience hushed, and suddenly I knew exactly who I needed to be in that moment. Regal, grounded, and ready. I glided down that runway, and I felt the air change. I heard a collective intake of breath from the audience. The dress did what it was meant to do, and I did what I was meant to do. I posed at the end for Getty Images, which apparently is a really big deal. And there was a whole row of photographers back there. They're all darkly silhouette against the light that's spotlighting us walking down the runway. And I knew that dress needed a full spin. But I'm not much of a dancer, and I was a little bit afraid if I did a spin and I lost my balance, I could land flat on my face. But for Oliver, for my designer, for this glorious dress, I took the spin. And wonder of wonders, miracle of miracles, I did not lose my balance. I did not falter. I did not land on my face. The air sparkled. And when I turned around to walk back down the runway, there, on either side of the runway, were two giant screens. They were at least 15 feet tall, maybe more. In my mind, soon this story will be their 40-foot tall screens, but they probably weren't that big. And filling those screens was me, filling the entire space with a larger-than-life diamond vision version of me. I felt awe bloom in my chest, the kind so strong that I almost whispered, "Oh, fuck," right there on the runway. Mercifully, I didn't, but I stayed in the moment. Me walking, me regal, me transformed. The audience gasped again because the moment doubled itself. It became so much larger than life. It wasn't just happening in front of me, it was echoing all around me. And for a moment, I wasn't looking at the screen. I was looking into a version of myself that I forget is real. I've had stage moments before. I've had applause. I've had performance highs. But this was something different. It was the universe saying, look at yourself the way others see you. Look at your power. Look at your presence. Look at your Technicolor. And it was unforgettable. Oh, now, are you wondering what this has to do with you? Here's the thing. So much of life is sepia. We can all relate to that. Routine, laundry, emails, deadlines, dishes, driving, waiting, repeating. Life can feel really flat sometimes. Muted, gray, heavy. But just like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, you never know when the door is going to swing open and the world around you explodes into color. After the storm, after the chaos, after the moment when you think nothing magical is happening for me. Bottled water, hotel bottled water. You got to stay hydrated. So after that moment, when you think nothing magical is happening for me, suddenly there it is. Those Technicolor moments are not always obvious. Not because they don't exist, but because we stop looking. We get so focused on the rain, on the inconvenience, on the exhaustion, on the mood, that we forget magic doesn't care how you feel when it arrives. It just, poof, arrives. That's why it's magic. And if you're not paying attention, you might miss one of the most beautiful moments of your life simply because you assumed the weather would never get better. So here's what LA taught me, soggy shoes and all. You don't have to be in a good mood to experience wonder. Magic doesn't require your best attitude. It only requires your openness to receiving it. Hey, beauty often arrives disguised as inconvenience. Rainy weekends, exhausting drives, chaotic rehearsals, they are often that doorway. Oh, transformation happens one small shift at a time. A dress, a hairstyle, a moment where you see yourself with new eyes. There are Technicolor moments waiting for you. They might be hiding behind something ordinary, something annoying, something gray, but they're there. Never assume a gray day can't turn into a rainbow. You don't know what is waiting on the other side. So here's my question for you, bucket listers. Where in your life have you stopped expecting magic? Where have you decided that the rain means the weekend is ruined? Where have you convinced yourself that your mood disqualifies you from wonder? Because the truth is, Technicolor moments are waiting for you. You just have to show up. Whether it's tired, grumpy, hungry, soaked, just show up anyway. You have no idea when the spotlight will shift, when the music will swell, and when your life will surprise you by putting you center stage in a way you never imagined. Thank you for spending this time with me today. And remember, even when life feels blah and sepia, even when you're soaked and tired and oh, so over it, there is always something beautiful waiting just over the rainbow. Don't miss it. You are not too late. You are perfectly on time for you. And it doesn't matter if you fail. You've already changed the world. Until next week, stay hydrated, stay hopeful, and stay open to your Technicolor moment. It's waiting for you. Thanks for joining me, Wonder Wendy, for another episode of The Imperfect Prophet, and I look forward to talking to you again next week. And as always, if this episode made you think of someone, reach out to them, say hello, and share this episode with them. Talk about it. Share your moments. That makes life even richer. Talk to you soon.
Like what you heard here today? Then we should be friends. I suggest you join my Facebook group. It's a good way to connect. We can have a conversation, ask me questions, whatever you want to do. It is called the Wonderful Bucket List Life. That's Wonder-Full Bucket List Life. Be a bucket lister and join me on this adventure. Or you can go to my webpage, which is Wonder Wendy and Friends, join the mailing list, learn about the book I wrote, adventures that are coming up in the future, and other podcasts. I look forward to talking to you soon, and stay hydrated. Have a great day.